How many attendees on any offline dinner have been before, and how many are new on average, would you say?
Well, the one you came to last time, there were 35 of us, of whom I think 20 had never been before. To give you an idea. And of the balance of 15, obviously take me out, and I have been before, strangely enough.
Yep.
I think of the other people,
I was just asking, because I guess the challenge for you is to, you know, you might invite me to a future one, but you also need to make sure that it's not the same bunch of people that were there at the previous two that I went to, so that it's new for those people as well.
Yes and no. I mean, first of all, I don't care too much about whether people have been before or what they heard last time, because actually the people are always different. And I'm always harvesting, for want of a better expression.
Yep.
I'm always meeting new people, randomly, people who I just bump into on the tube.
Yep.
Or through one of my sisters, or through an old friend, or because I read something and I made an approach to somebody directly. I don't worry too much about rejection, which is probably why it's got a very, very wide base. You've seen people all ages, all backgrounds, some extremely successful, some people starting out, some people are, in fact, kids. And I say kids, I mean kids of 18, 22. I like having young people. And the reason I have young people is because they challenge you. The last thing I want to do, and you probably too, Russ, is go to an event where there are 35 people like me.
Yep.
What is the answer to this? Yes,
Yep.
I want to be surprised, I want to be challenged in the best possible way. When you mix with people you know well, you typically find they either agree with you or they validate your opinion. And in my opinion, that's no way to grow. And I think you really want to be able to expose yourself to fresh ideas, fresh ways of looking at the world. Just that sense of the unpredictable, the unknown. That to me is very powerful. And I, over a period of time...
Well, I'd never have met a lady from Louisiana who, you know, works with electromagnetic healing.
Beth,
and
yeah, she's a very interesting woman, very smart.
Yeah, so that's who I was sat next to.
Who knows? I mean, look, the short answer is that offline is really about engaging people. The rest of it, I don't care. When people want to done business together, form relationships together, all great. But I don't really worry too much about that. I don't worry too much about consequences and outcomes. And I think that's why a lot of business-related events fall down, because they are so focused upon achieving some kind of objective where they're aiming at that point just over in the far distance. And I don't worry about it. I think there's some things along the way which are interesting.
It also sets the attendees up for disappointment if they then leave the event without having achieved those things. Whether it was, you know, meeting someone for a business purpose.
I think that's right. I think that's right. But what I would say, which is very important, I've learned, is that when people are taken slightly out of their comfort zone, and certainly that applies with offline, they pay more attention.
Yep.
When you heard all before, you know what happened last time, it's not so interesting.
Yeah.
I think actually when people are a little bit on edge, not in an unpleasant way, but there's a sense of the unknown, you tend to find they're a little bit more aware of themselves and people around them. The one thing I would say, which is interesting in a slightly different context, we're talking about offline as well. If, let's say, we did an offline dinner in the park, we're in Farnham Park or maybe Hyde Park in London, and you get people to sit down. How do they sit down, in fact? So some people are very awkward, it's on the ground, it's a bit wet, and they've got a rug, who's helping, who's got an extra bottle of wine, who's actually doing nothing to help at all, it's on the phone yet again. How do people engage? One thing I found, going back to the point about people moving around, I often say to people, when you're at an event, if you see a spare chair, take it. Somebody goes out to go to the bathroom, or have a cigarette, or make a phone call. It's an invitation in a very modest way to go sit over there. And the people find their chairs and take it. That's right. And I encourage it. I think it's not that we need a bell to ring to signify the moment where you change places. It's a bit random. It's a bit about serendipity, as I mentioned before. And for me, in the end, that's the stuff of life. I just feel we live in a world which is far, far too prescriptive. And there are great many people who are out there who are coaches telling us how we should live, what's good, what's not so good, what's terrible, what they would do themselves if they're in our shoes and so forth. And a lot of what the coaches talk about, frankly, as we rather discussed before, plain common sense. Stuff you were talking about before about sustainability and your consultancy and how you get message across. What I do with offline is really about, in a sense, bringing together people who are not defined by any one denomination. They're all in the army, or they're all working in finance. I like people across the board, because that's where I think you find you'll make people's hearts sing. Brilliant.
Well, it's been great to talk to you, Howard, and I, for one, am looking to attending more offline dinners next year and beyond. The one area. Look, great to see you again. Look forward to collaborating on various fronts in the future. Absolutely. In Farnham, or indeed points beyond. Who knows where. Yeah. Indeed so. Done. Fab. Brilliant. Thanks, Howard. Pleasure.